Erik Erikson was a German-born American developmental psychologist and psychoanalyst. He was born in Frankfurt, Germany, and his lifespan was from June 1902 to May 1994. Some interesting facts about him is that he never got a bachelor's degree, yet he had been a professor at Yale and Harvard. Another interesting fact is that his father wasn't really in his life much, and his mother got remarried and his stepfather adopted him. Early in his life, he was a teacher of the arts and a student. He was friends with the daughter of Sigmund Freud, and Sigmund Freud ended up being his inspiration for being a psychoanalyst. Erik Erikson was mainly famous for his stages of psychosocial development. There are 8 stages. His first stage was trust versus mistrust. This is from birth to 18 months. The infant's basic needs are either met or they're not met by the parents, and the parents are expected to provide food, caring, and comfort. At this stage, infants learn whether or not the people are reliable. Some examples that could cause mistrust is holding the baby wrong, or even washing the baby wrong. There's a lot of things. The next stage is autonomy versus shame and doubt. It's from 18 months to 3 years old. Autonomy is the ability to do things by themselves, and at this stage, the child will have a dual desire to hold on and let go. In order for a child to experience autonomy, they have to try new things and be able to experience stuff on their own, such as tying their shoes. Some more examples of autonomy is a kid being potty trained. As for shame and doubt, they are often caused by parents who are overly restrictive and harsh, which leave the child feeling powerless and incompetent, so just yelling at them for doing things wrong, basically. The next stage is initiative versus guilt. This is from 3 years old to 6 years old. Initiative is the exploration of both the social and the physical world. This happens when the caregivers permit children to jump, play, run, slide, and throw, being firmly convinced he or she is a person of their own. There is also guilt, which comes from parents who severely punish children's attempts at initiative. An example of initiative is helping a child or encouraging them to try new things, such as this mom helping her child learn to crack an egg. Another example is letting a child make their bed. Even though they might not do it correctly, it's good for them to be encouraged to learn. If parents never let their child do anything on their own, they may never learn how to be able to do things by themselves in the future, which can affect later life, such as Brian and his mom. The next stage is stage 4, which is industry versus inferiority, which is from 6 to 12 years old. Industry comes from children who feel pride on their accomplishments and abilities when they interact with others in society. If the children are encouraged from their teachers and parents, they feel a sense of competence and develop belief on their own abilities. On the other hand, if children are not encouraged, they cannot develop belief on their own abilities, which is inferiority. An example of industry is this girl who got a good report card. This gives her a good feeling about herself and her own abilities. An example of inferiority is failure. Failure creates a negative self-image, sense of inadequacy that can affect the future. It may be caused by not living up to one's standards. The 5th stage is identity versus role confusion. This is 12 to 18 years old. It's integrated sense of self, answering who am I, and integrates beliefs in politics, religion, career, life, purpose, and family. Role confusion is the inability to integrate beliefs, leaving a fragmented personality. Positive resolution is a strong sense of identity and plans for the future. And the parent's role helps the child learn about options for their identity. At this stage, adolescents tend to, or are pressured to, turn toward their peers. They experiment with various sexual, occupational, and educational roles as they try to find out who they are and who they can be. This is called ego identity. A very big part of this stage is making future decisions on education and career, such as what college do I want to go to, what do I want a degree in, and what do I want to do with the rest of my life. The next stage is stage 6, intimacy versus isolation. This is a young adult. Once someone knows who they are and where they are going, this stage is set for the sharing of their life with another. A new adult is ready to form a new relationship of trust and intimacy with another individual, a partner in friendship, sex, competition, and cooperation. This relationship should enhance the identity of both partners without stifling the growth of either. Then there is isolation, which can be caused by a young adult who doesn't seek out such intimacy or whose repeated tries and fails may have them retreat into isolation. The seventh stage is generativity versus self-absorption, which is mid-adult. Generativity is the interest in establishing and guiding the next generation. Typical people do this by raising their own kids or children. If they cannot have children, this can be solved by other forms of productivity and creativity, such as teaching. During this stage, people should continue to grow. If they don't, a sense of stagnation and interpersonal impoverishment develops, leading to self-absorption or self-indulgence. The final and last stage of Erik Erikson stages is integrity versus despair. It's late adulthood, moments of reflecting back on life, understanding and accepting the meaning of temporary life. Those feeling proud of their achievements will sense integrity. Complains about regrets, not having enough time, and not finding the meanings throughout life, or life is wasted, will give despair. Integrity also includes looking back over at your life and being able to resolve your final identity crisis. It also has the acceptance of accomplishments and failures. At this stage, the finality of death must also be faced and accepted. As for despair, it usually occurs in those who regret the way they have led their lives or how their lives have turned out. Those were all of the stages, but there were many contributions and limitations. Let me tell you the main ones. In different cultures, timing within these 8 stages can be different. For example, in India, girls get married before the age of 18, and that's normal. It is also said that Erikson stages are more applicable to boys, and that it lacks male and female differences. Many people have argued that Erikson focuses more on infancy and childhood rather than adulthood. They often ask the question, what about adult rediscovery and finding and changing themselves? There are many ways to use Erikson stages in your classroom. I chose my favorite 6. Number 1. Treat all students equally. Do not show favoritism to a certain group of students based on gender, race, academic ability, or socioeconomic status. Number 2. Incorporate guest speakers and curriculum activities from as many areas as possible so as to expose students to many career choices. Number 3. Encourage students to focus on their strengths and acknowledge them when they exhibit work that incorporates these strengths. Number 4. Encourage students to develop confidence by trying different approaches to solving problems. Number 5. Incorporate life skills into lesson planning to increase confidence and self-sufficiency. And number 6. Utilize physical activity to help relieve stress, negative feelings, and improve moods.